barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Huwa al-awwal bila ibtidai wal akhir bila intihai walladhi la yafna wala yakunu illa ma yuridu wa hallu lima yuridu wa nusalli wa nusallim wa nubarik ala asrafil mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kathiran da'iman abadan ila yawmiddin. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Ni'mal mawla wa ni'man nasir. We thank the Almighty Allah. We glorify the Almighty Allah. We appreciate the Almighty Allah. The first without any beginning, the last without any point of termination. We may Allah does whatever He wishes, but He will never make any mistake. Whatever Allah wants to be, will be. Whatever He doesn't want to be, will never be. We seek Allah's blessing on our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah continue to bless him, bless his companions, bless the entire members of his household. We thank Allah for giving us the opportunity of having to this program. Nasrullah Al Society has a mission to develop an enlightened Muslim society nurtured by the Society of Islam for future development and welfare of mankind. And we have said, through understanding of Islam, one of the core objectives of Nasrullah Al-Fati, that objective has necessitated the organization of today's webinar. It could be seen to be new enough to us in Nigeria, and that is why the program is international. It's not in Nigeria. It's not a local program. MISYAR, Nikah MISYAR, marriage without strings, travelers marriage, daytime marriage. So many terminologies have been given to this concept. We realize that this concept has been legalized since 2006 by Muslim World League, and for scholars to have legalized it, they must have what to call dalil. They must have a lot of evidences. And in spite of them having evidences, and we are not in a position to say they are wrong, we have to look at the issue again and consider our environment, consider other people's environment. What are the reasons behind the stand of people or scholars that allow MISYAR? Number one, they said there has increased the number of women, single women, who are unable to get married because young men are put off because of sadaki, bridal price. They said, and if there are so many women who could not get married because men are running away from marriage, that another alternative that could be given to them is to go into the kind of marriage that will make the woman to forgo some of her rights, right to feeding, right to accommodation, and right to having 24/7 time with her husband. She may decide to stay in her parent house. She may decide to be feeding herself, may decide to forgo some of the rights that ordinarily she should get as a woman. Number two, some women decide to stay in their family home, either because they are the only caregiver for family members, or because the woman has a handicap and her family do not want the husband to be burdened with something you cannot bear. It's one of the reasons that scholars have given for allowing MISYAR. There's some women who get married, their parents will have become old, and they are the caregivers to those parents. They just have to take care of their parents. And if they move to their husband's house, that will deny them the opportunity of taking proper care of their parents. And ayah of the Quran also say we should take care of our parents, and they don't want to run foul of that. Number three,
Yes.
may be handicapped, maybe having a sickness, maybe having an illness, and the parents of that woman will not want her to be a burden on the husband. It's okay. You have got married to our daughter, but allow her to stay in our house while you come and visit her when you are ready. Number four, some married men want to keep some women chaste. They want to maintain polygamy, and at the same time, they want to do it in an halal way without affecting the first wife. That the first wife can stay in the house, can be the woman of the house, while they keep MISYAR wives. It could be 1, 2, 3, with the maximum of 4. That they want to enjoy what Allah has made allowed for them, and they want to create any problem or any problem in the house. Okay, let's allow the woman to stay in the house while I maintain 24/7 relationship with the wife at home. Number 5, some situations warrant a month traveling often and stay there for a long period. Then staying there with a wife is safer for him than not doing so. That if she has a MISYAR woman, MISYAR old woman, and the woman is staying in her father's house. Hello? And man staying in her father's house, whether he travels anywhere, he travels or whatever he travels to, that will not affect the marriage. They are giving so many reasons, and they now give us an adila. The adila is that our mother Sauda, when she got married to the Prophet Sallallahu, she decided to forgo some of her rights. She told the Prophet Sallallahu, I've married, and she told all the wives, I've married the Prophet. Whenever it's my turn to sleep with the Prophet Sallallahu, I give that right to Aisha. People are giving us that adila. That is one of the reasons to support MISYAR marriage. Sheikh Ibn Baz was also said to have supported it, looking at so many circumstances. But some of his students, like Ibn Taymi said, Baba, the Sheikh eventually retracted it. But we have not seen where Baba has retracted that statement. It is practiced in Saudi Arabia, it is practiced in Egypt, it is practiced in so many Gulf states. We are not decided to bring it to before now, because the world is a global village. We are dealing with global audience who can access internet, and when they see something on the internet and they see a particular concept that has been legalized by renowned scholars of the world, they may want to transfer it here without considering the environment that we find ourselves, forgetting the fact that I'll add that to my akama. Their culture is a source of law. They may say, oh, who can tell me in Nigeria that thing is bad? Without considering our situation, that some men, I'm not taking position now, I'm giving the general overview. Some men are not responsible even with normal marriage. If you now allow them to keep MISYAR wives outside, what will be the fate of some of our women? Number 2, I read this recently that some Saudi boys are now discouraging themselves from getting married. Some of them are saying, why should I buy a cow when I can get free milk? Why should I buy a cow when I can get free milk? Why should I get myself involved in marriage when I can have a woman somewhere, 2 or 3 women somewhere, stay somewhere with their parents, and whenever I need them, I just go and meet them without bearing any responsibility of taking care of her, providing accommodation for her, giving her food. Now, some people are now saying, oh, we have to look at this thing because it's open to abuse. And on the party, I decided to organize this webinar. We will take opinion from other people, but it will let us know that we should consider environment when we are picking fatwa from the internet. We have taken it upon ourselves because of the access that people have to internet now. And the people have unrestrained, uncontrolled, unguarded access to information. The fact that Saudi Arabia is practicing something, the fact that Egypt is practicing something, the fact that some scholars have legalized something may make some of our brothers who are not well fast in usul fiqh, principle of Islamic jurisprudence, who are not well fast in Maqasid Sharia, that something may be legally right, as Corridor always said. Something Corridor always said is legally right, but it's not socially allowed. How many of our brothers will be able to look at it in that way? Since it has been legalized, oh, I can practice it. I can come to Nigeria and say, oh, I'm married 3 MISYAR wife, and it's not comfortable for me to disclose that marriage to the wife at home. And because of this abuse that this thing can be subjected to, that's why Natural Liberty has conducted this lecture, and we have brought 3 eminent scholars. Professor Sulaiman will come and discuss it fully. Our sister Alima will give us first-hand experience. She has seen people who have practiced MISYAR in Nigeria. She has seen people who have practiced this particular marriage in Nigeria, and that's why we have brought 2 of them. What we want to take over from the lecturers, because make input, we not take a position, because we are going to make it a scholarly discussion. You won't say it's haram, you won't say it's halal. We'll give you options. You now choose whatever you think is right for you, and you consider Nigeria as an environment that we are living in, even though the program is international, people know that Al-Adatu Akama culture is a source of law. And the fact that this thing is being abused, we make us to look at, to rethink our position, regardless of the fact that it has been legalized in so many other countries. May Allah make it easy for our discussions, and may Allah reward all of us who are part of this program. وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين صلوا على النبي الكريم
صلى الله عليه وسلم. جزاك الله خيرا, sir. Wow, I said to you that our father is the go-to person for spiritual guidance. You can see why the cap does fit. The cap does fit. I think at this point we can just say, you know what, let's just go home. We've covered the in-depth of it. However, we can inform everyone that we want to thank our chief missioner for that brief opening concept into the concept of Nikah MISYAR. I can confirm that we have Dr. Sulaiman Yusuf in-house. We have read the citation briefly because of the time as well. We want to make it a discussion. We want to make it a discussion that everyone can benefit from things left and right. So we will be bringing in the panel in about 15 minutes time. 15 minutes time, we'll bring in the panel. But before that, I would like to bring in our doctor, Dr. Yusuf. Before that, I have Nurugata. Nurugata has his hand up. Sir, could you please put what you want to say into the chat box, please? Or I would acknowledge your hand after we have listened to our doctor. So just give me some time. We'll acknowledge your hand later. But if it's something that you want to bring, or please put that in the chat box, and we'll acknowledge that as we go on. Dr. Yusuf, sir, welcome to this webinar of Nikah MISYAR. Is it problem or is it remedy for societal marital issue that we are having? I would like to take an opening concept, an introduction into this discussion within the next 12 to 15 minutes, sir. And we can come back and have a general panelist discussion whereby you'll be joined by two other panelists who are already on the call as well. So can we take your understanding of the concept of Nikah MISYAR, sir? Assalamu alaikum. You are muted, sir. You are.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making it possible for us to be here, to work our mind together.
Doctor, sir.
To practice the text of وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The topic of discussion is Zawaj al-Misyar.
Can you hear me, sir?
Are you hearing me?
I think you have two devices on. Can you disable the audio of the second one, please? If you disable the audio of the second one,
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
The topic of discussion is among Muslims in Nigeria. Problem or remedy. After thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as he deserves, I'm praying for more blessings and peace in favor of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thank you very much for your efforts. Praying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should accept all our efforts as acts of ibadah. Jazakumullahu khairan. As far as Zawaj Misyar is concerned, we need to table for ourselves about 4, 5, or 6 points. Zawaj Misyar is allowed Islamically. The only difference between it and the normal marriage is publicity. This one is not given publicity. One is given publicity. All the conditions and pillars are the same. And this Zawaj, or not as Misyar marriage, is from Sarah Siru. This Misyar
Assalamu alaikum, doctor. Assalamu alaikum, doctor. Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking. Maybe you need to change the network. It's
Or
from my
maybe
end.
if you turn off your camera, sir, your video, turn off the video. Maybe we can preserve the bandwidth.
Okay.
You mean I turn off the camera?
Yes,
Yes, put off the camera. Let's see whether that one will improve it.
All right.
Put off your camera.
That's what I'm trying to do now.
Okay. Can Barakeji do it for him at your hand? Can you put out the camera at your hand for him?
yes, I can.
Yeah, put it up for him. Okay. Doctor, yeah, you can continue now.
Okay, now I'm going to put your second device in the waiting room. I'll put it in the waiting room for now, sir. The second one.
Do whatever you think you can make you
Go ahead, sir.
But I would like to tell us that Zawaj Misyar is allowed, and the Muslim scholars and people who confirm this for us. But this is marriage without strings. According to my own knowledge, strings means restrictions. There are restrictions, but the only thing is that overnight stay is not mandated. It's not compulsory upon the husband. He has, this agreement has to take place between the husband and the wife. And that wife has the authority of revoking. This is a wife is revocable. And I think it's a remedy to a lot of social immoralities, social vices happening in our community or in our country. I would like us to support the standpoint of the Sunni scholars because they base all their view on the content of the Quran and authentic Sunnah or tradition of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We need to remind ourselves of the three major driving forces of Islam at this point, namely sound knowledge, deep faith, and sincere actions. When we are able to take good care of these three driving forces by the special grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the so-called misunderstanding or misinterpretation will be put in order. So I hope that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will continue to guide us aright and overlook our shortcomings. I had one of our brothers rightly quoted verse 21 of Surah Rum, where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. It is of Allah's signs that He has created for you mates from yourselves. If Allah will have wanted us to be marrying jinns or animals, that will have happened, but it is from ourselves, our own sister. The only thing that we need to take care of is that our relationship has to be based on the teachings of Quran, on the beautiful teachings of Islam, and we need to be encouraging one another and adopt the principle of dhikra tanfa'ul mu'minin according to Quran. And our Prophet ﷺ said, and ad-dinu nasiha. This religion of ours is based on counseling, on advice, on advising one another. If we can be ourselves, be our brothers keepers, advising one another to do the right thing, to be bringing what is useful to everyone and forbidding what is wrong for everyone by the special grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala with good intention, which is always needed from all our activities. I think we can take good care of that. And based on this, the pillars of marriage in Islam are to be taken care of. Namely, know the status of the couple or good condition of health, and secondly, the guardian who is going to marry out his daughter or sister. Number 3 is the dowry itself. At least it has to be more than 22,000 naira according to the situation on ground now. 25 is more accurate and above. Then the methodology, which is done as a sila between the giver and taker, the giver and taker has to take place with two just witnesses, two good practicing Muslims who are really committed to the teachings of Islam, who are committed to performing their salawat accordingly. These conditions should also be met. We should not also bear in mind that the person we are going to marry out to give our daughters, sisters, or female relatives to should be mu'min, to be a mu'min based on what Al-Hassan said. When one of the companions, one of their contemporaries came to him, asking him, so person came to me looking for the hand of my daughter in marriage. Al-Hassan simply said, لا تنكحها إلا رجلا مؤمنا إن أحبها أكرمها وإن كرهها لم يظلمها. Do not marry out your daughter to anyone except to a faithful man, a righteous person, because if he loves her, he will honor her, he will respect her, and if he dislikes her or hates her, he will not oppress her or wrong her. So this means Zawaj al-Misyar is the same thing with the normal Zawaj or a Nikah. The only difference is that this one is hidden, while that one is publicized. And this condition of hiding Zawaj Misyar should not discourage us from adopting it based on the activities, unlawful activities going on in our society, most especially in this country, where we always pray that Allah SWT should continue to guide us aright and overlook our shortcomings. Assalamu alaikum.
Ameen, ameen. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wow, well done, sir.
I'm audible, sir.
Yes, you are very audible. Yeah, we can hear you, sir. It's quite interesting to hear the concept that you brought in. You highlighted few facts out there. You said it is an allowed marriage. It is an allowed marriage. However, it is not well publicized. It is not well known, which to me, I think is one of the reasons why the NASFAT decided to bring this to the forefront for members to be aware of it. While we have you here, allow me to bring in the other panelists to join you on the podium.
Bismillah.
We have listened to Dr. Isiaq Lawal earlier. Let me just reintroduce him as well. Dr. Isiaq Lawal, are you still with us, sir? Dr. Isiaq, are you still with us? Okay. Just want to double check. Do we still have Sister Alima Ahmed with us?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you. Okay, Sister Alima, we know both of us, we've listened to the part of the MISYAR that tells us that it is allowed. It is an acceptable part or types of marriage. I would like to speak to you, Sister Alima. What can you tell us about the social consequences of this type of marriage? Let us understand the social aspect of it to now see, are we going to accept it or are we going to warn our members against it? Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Like it has been mentioned already. There's been a lot of discussion among scholars on the issue of Zawaj al-Misyar. And when it comes to the legality of it, a lot of scholars rule that it is legal, it is halal, so it is permissible, as long as the shurutul nikah are all in place. So there is the ijab wal qabul, there is proposal and acceptance, there is the payment of the mahar, there is the waliship, there is the guardian, and then also there are two male witnesses, female witnesses. So if we have all of these conditions already to fill, the marriage is However, when it comes to the appropriateness, so there's a difference between the legality as well as the appropriateness, the concern for maslaha, the social consequences, like you mentioned. And like the national missioner mentioned earlier, I've been privileged to interact with a number of women who have been in this kind of marriages. I agree with the proponents of Zawaj al-Misyar that there are some social problems that need to be addressed. And for them, Nikah MISYAR is a way to address those problems. For example, like it has been mentioned, the issue of a number of unmarried women, whether they've never been married or divorced or single. There is also the concern about the high cost of marriages in terms of the marriage, wedding, the reception, and everything that goes into the wedding day. So the exorbitant cost of that is something else to consider, and some other circumstances. But when we look at the social consequences of this kind of marriage, first, looking at the maqasid of marriage itself, what is the purpose of marriage? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran, and one of our fathers quoted earlier, that marriage is supposed to be a source of tranquility, a source of mawadda and rahmah, love and mercy, companionship. In a lot of nikah misyar, this is actually missing. Like the translation of the marriage itself, it's a marriage of convenience. Usually it is just for sexual gratification. There's hardly companionship in those marriages. They do not live together. In a lot of cases also, these marriages are secret marriages. So there's an element of nikah sir in this kind of marriages. Aside from the witnesses and the wali who are aware of the marriage, in a lot of cases, that's the end. Nobody else knows about the marriage. And because of this, the woman, so there's also the element of suspicion, especially with regards to the woman. We know that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged that the nikah should be publicized, but in a lot of misyar marriages, it is not the case. So a lot of challenges with it. One, like I mentioned, the issue of the maqasid of marriage itself is not being fulfilled in a lot of these marriages. Also, the dignity of the woman who is involved. I was opportune to interact with a woman who went into this kind of marriage. She had been earlier married before, so she was a divorcee. And in a lot of cases, women who accept this kind of marriages are usually desperate, probably because of the societal pressure. Oh, you're already over 30, you're not married, all your mates are finished giving birth. Because of that pressure, they easily accept whatever the next man who comes along offers to them, as they feel it's better than nothing. Sometimes they are divorcees or widows who have sexual needs that have not been met for some time and just feel, okay, this is better than nothing else, and they go ahead with it. In this particular case of this sister, she got into the marriage. She was still living on her own. And according to her, she said they just met at a hotel 3 times and then he pronounced divorce. That was the end of the marriage. And it was really a traumatic experience for her, even more traumatic than the earlier divorce that she had from a proper marriage. So there is a lot of emotional burden that this kind of marriage brings to the woman. There is no sense of dignity that a woman feels as a wife, that you can publicly say, I am the wife of so-and-so. I know a sister who was in this kind of marriage. The marriage, of course, later led to divorce. And this is not surprising. Even in the Gulf countries where it is very popular, statistics show that over 80% of misyar marriages end in divorce. And in this particular case, this sister was married to a married man. She knew he was married. He couldn't tell his wife, his family. In short, it was a secret marriage. It was a daytime marriage, so her husband couldn't come to her. The marriage lasted for years, more than 2 years, but not once did her husband sleep over in her house. She couldn't just call her husband. Nothing could happen. The way I can just call my husband and say, hello, so and so is happening, no, I need your help. She can't just call him because he may be with his wife or with somebody who doesn't know about them. So she has to wait for him to call, no matter the situation. She couldn't go out with him. So there is nothing like we want to go shopping together or he's taking me out on a date or anything like that. There is nothing like that. It's just a marriage, like it's been called, it's a marriage of convenience. Just come meet me in my room or in the hotel or wherever we decide to meet. We do our thing and then we depart again. So that's very, very undignifying for a lot of women. There's also the challenge of the children that may result from such marriages. Even though from the beginning, for a lot of those marriages, children is not usually part of the agreement, but sometimes it happens. And when it does, it denies those children the opportunity of living and growing in a usual family setting with the love and the upbringing that they deserve. So they either live with their mother and just see their father as somebody who just goes and comes once in a while, or at some point later, the father takes them, and that's when the wife at home in some cases discovers that this has been happening. And also part of the social consequences, if we look at the countries where this is prevalent, so it's not something that we can that we are imagining. This is something that is already happening, that we can see already the level of abuse that it is being subjected to where it is prevalent. And we can already see the amount of challenges that it is breeding in those societies. High rates of divorce, like I mentioned earlier. There is also the challenge that in some of those kind of settings, there have been cases of women in multiple MISYAR marriages. Because there are men also, a man has one wife, and that's the wife everybody knows. So this is Abu Fulana and Umu Fulana with their children. That's the family everybody sees. But behind the back, he has 3 other MISYAR marriages that he has conducted, and it just goes to these women. Sometimes it's just during his break time at office, he just dashes out for 1-2 hours and he's back, and that's the end of it. So there are women who also feel, well, if the man can do it, why not me? And they also go into multiple MISYAR kind of marriages. And we know that this is obviously haram in Islam. So these are some of the challenges that come with the MISYAR marriage that require us to think deeply before we adopt this as a form of marriage that we want to propagate. Of course, like it has been mentioned, it's not very popular here, even though there have been cases of people who have gone into it. But at the same time, I also acknowledge that in some cases, it is necessary. And in those cases, there are special cases. And I've seen some of those instances. And in some of those instances, it doesn't even start from the beginning as the wife giving up all of our rights except just the right to marital intimacy. For example, in one of those cases that I'm privy to, the man he's married, it was a normal marriage from the beginning with his 2 wives. And then he had financial difficulties along the line. It was very serious. And he knew that one of his wives, the second wife, is very rich enough to take care of herself without him supporting with anything. So he actually pleaded with her. And in this case, it was so dignified that he didn't even do it alone. He went with some of his own elder brothers from the family to help him and plead with his wife to please give up our rights to financial maintenance and all of this because of the challenges he's going through, so that what the little he's able to earn, he would use it to take care of the first family, because that woman cannot, she is not earning any income. And the woman agreed to that. And she also felt respected on when, right from the beginning, you want to marry me, but you're telling me I'm just marrying you, I'll just come once in a while. No real marriage in the sense of having a wedding, everybody is aware of it and all of that. But we know that we are halal partners to each other. And so for a lot of women, I think these are just some of the challenges. The issue of halalizing prostitution, like Sheikh Onike alluded to, is also something to consider. So why buy the cow when the milk is free? Why settle with one woman when I can have 4 women that I can go to at intervals? So I think these are some of the challenges that we need to consider on the issue of MISYAR.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much for shining the torch to some aspects of these concepts that we need to take a very good, proper look at before we dive in, because it might end up to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, we might be, because we are trying to plug the issue of we having so many unmarried women around. We're trying to ensure that we get them married. By doing that, we might end up also creating more issues, because number one, you highlighted the case of emotional burden. emotional burden for women. You know, I cannot lay claim to this man as my rightful Zawj. You know, I cannot lay claim to say this man is mine if the man asks for it to be secret. Because as we said, that part of this is that we can also put it as a secret marriage. And that gives me another question that I want to ask Dr. Isiaq. Dr. Isiaq, sir, just a quick one. We've heard that this marriage can be, they call it marriage of convenience. Does it also need to have wali? You know, you going to seek for proper hand of the woman in marriage from his wali? Is it something that is important? Because if not, it might be another way of legalizing zina. Because I can just pick up a woman on the street and say, you know what, I would not do this and this and this and this as a husband, but I want to be gratified sexually. You know, is it a way of someone just said, analyzing prostitution? Assalamu alaikum, doctor. You are muted, sir. Dr. Lawal? Dr. Lawal, you are muted.
Is he in the house? Is he in the house?
Yes, he's here. He's here with us.
Okay, I read it somewhere that there are two types of
Okay, doctor, I'm going to put your video off. The last time we heard from you, you were pretty clear.
Can you hear me?
I'm putting your video off now, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your video, the signal is a bit disrupted. Let's put off your video.
Am I on?
Put off your video for us, please, sir.
Okay. It's already on.
So, you can continue now, sir.
That there are two types here. We are witnesses and wali, and the other there is no wali. There is no wali. It's just between you and the MISYAR wife to be. Then what I want to say here is that having wali or not having wali need to make between legal and social consequence. And there is a group of scholars who are called Al-Mani'un. Those who are vehemently opposed to the MISYAR marriage. They said even if you have all the four arkan, all the four pillars of nikah, which includes wali, witness, publicity, and so on, that it is not, it should not be allowed because it's a way of cheating women to satisfy men. So the issue of wali or no wali may not even come in legalizing this kind of marriage, particularly in our own environment. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I think I'm done.
Okay, so you're saying the issue of needing the validation of wali is not a bounding factor in this kind of nikah.
Yes.
Wow. So in other words, we can actually meet on the roads, on the streets of Ireland, and book a room and say, you know what, we are doing nikah MISYAR, and go straight to the hotel. And as Sister Alima said, the sister met 3 times in the hotel, and the brother came the 4th time and said, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to the next one. Thank you very much. Off I go. This is quite concerning. This is quite concerning. Dr. Yusuf, would you like to weigh in on this?
Hello, salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh, sir.
If you can remember what during my presentation, I did talk about the three driving forces of Islam, which we are very lacking presently in this part of the world. We are careless about sound knowledge about Islam. We think we know Islam very well, but we are careless, and the learning is a continuous process. Once we are popular to be a malam or to be so. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Wa alaikum salam. Okay. What I'm saying here is that Islam will not come up with anything without understanding that we have to be just and right within ourselves. We have to be just. We have to do right by our brothers. Now, there has to be a reason why this was introduced. And
hello,
sir. Hello, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir. Okay. If one of the major concepts of marriage is to procreate, we want to procreate. Does that mean, I know it will be, to me, I believe it should be completely disbanded, because if we are to procreate and a woman decided to have a MISYAR with Mr. A, and along the line, the woman also, she has needs. Who do we expect to take care of these needs of this woman? If the man is willing to say, I don't want to pay for this, I don't want to be with you 24/7, I don't want to be responsible for your welfareism, the woman can now contact Mr. J and say, Mr. J, can you pay for this, pay for this, pay for this, pay for this? And man say, yes, I can pay for it, but you have to pay me back. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. What would happen? Sister Alima, you have your hand up, man.
Yes, I wanted to contribute to that. Now, for the scholars who have explained that this kind of marriage is permissible, it is halal, the explanation is that while the spouses are allowed to give up their rights from the beginning, at any point in the marriage, they can decide to get back their rights. So a woman can agree to the marriage, no feeding, no accommodation, nothing. And then after 1 week, after 1 month, after 1 year, she just feels, I can't do this anymore. I need, you have to pay my rent, or you have to start giving me monthly allowance. She's allowed to do that. She's allowed to request back for her rights. So also the man is allowed later on to decide, you know what, I want us to come together, start living together like a standard marriage. If they both agree, that's fine. But in many cases, especially in places where it is prevalent, once a woman comes up with such demand, like now you have to start paying rent, now you have to, the man just divorces her, because why does he have to start doing that when he can easily get another MISYAR wife to continue to fulfill his needs? So yes, legally, the provision is there that she can later request for her rights if she feels like that and she has right to it. But in reality, when such comes up, it usually just leads to the end of the marriage. So, and then also the issue of the wali that you mentioned earlier, for a lot of the scholars, especially from the Maliki, the Hanbali school, they consider the waliship as still compulsory. Whether a woman has been married before, whether she's a virgin, whatever the circumstance, she still requires a wali. But there are some scholars, especially I think on the Shafi'i side, who consider that when a woman has been previously married, so she's a divorcee or a widow, she does not require, a wali is no longer compulsory for her. So a lot of these women also hide under this. A lot of the people who do this kind of marriages hide under this, especially if the woman has been previously married before. So they'll just, you know, some scholars say you don't need a wali, so they don't even usually use a wali for those kind of marriages. Another side to it, like you have mentioned, is the reality that some women want this kind of marriage. Example of such are women who are either divorced or widowed, but they are rich, they are able to take care of their own financial needs. They do not want to move in with a man. So they want, and I've seen also a case of a kind of marriage like this, but in this case, it was more dignified because the woman had been earlier married, then she got widowed. She had inheritance from her late husband. She had children. So the house belongs to her children. There's the house, there's the children. It's big, it's comfortable. If she marries another man, this new husband is Islamically not responsible for her children. He is only responsible for her as his wife. So he is only able to provide a room and parlor self-contained, for example, for his wife. That is what is compulsory on him. Getting a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom flat because this wife has 5 children is not compulsory on him. So in that case, she prefers to live in her children's house, the house from her late husband, which now belongs to her children. It's more convenient for her to continue to live there. There's enough space, the children can be free, and the man, the new husband, can come and meet her there. So I have seen this kind of arrangements before, but in this in this particular case, for example, it's only that issue of accommodation. It was only the right to accommodation that was waived, and it was for this reason. So, but every other part of the marriage was still a normal standard marriage. But usually in the cases of MISYAR specifically, in most of the cases, it's usually given up of several of them, no feeding, no house. So in fact, so just like we've already explained, so it's much more, so, but what I just want to highlight is that there are cases where one needs to give up some rights, and that is allowed, even Islamically, for whatever reason, but it should still be done in a dignified manner, as close as possible to a normal standard marriage in Islam, but not the kind where it's almost as if they weren't married. Another angle to this that I want to highlight, another set of women that I find who like this kind of marriage are independent women, in quotes. Women who, okay, it's a free world, you know, this idea of feminism, equality, I don't want to be submissive to a man, I don't want to be under a man, I don't, you know, all of that thing to do with the right that the husband has over his wife, the right to be obeyed, you need his permission before going out, so they don't want to do all of that. But at the same time, they want to also have halal sexual outlet. So for those kind of independent-minded women, they also like the concept of MISYAR marriage. So no rights, no obey, or all of that. We just know this is the partnership we have. You come, you go, I need you, I reach out, you need me, you reach out, and that's the end of it.
Thank you very much. I will really thank you for the last word you use here, halal sexual outlets. halal sexual outlets, which is what I think it is. Because normally we need witnesses in the car. We'll say, Mr. A, there has to be witness to witness this happening. I'm a bit worried here. Let me go back to Dr. Yusuf again. There's a question on the chat box that says, what led to this in the first place? I know they call it traveler's marriage. What was the reason behind the consideration of this union in the first place, if not gratification or analyzing sex? Dr. Yusuf, sir. Okay, I think Dr. Yusuf is no longer with us.
Barakeji, I've given about 5 reasons or 6 reasons.
All right.
That people are throwing up for allowing it. Number 1, they say that so many women who are due for marriage, but they are not able to marry. They couldn't get husband to marry. Number 2, the high cost of marriage. These are the excuses that are being given. That the high cost of marriage is debarring men from getting married, from debarring young boys from getting married, that they cannot afford marriage cost. He said, okay, instead of that, let us go for MISYAR. Number 3, a woman will say that she's the carer of her parents. She wants to take care of her old parents. She doesn't want to leave the parents home. She wants to stay with her parents. That she has to move to the husband's place, who will take care of her parents. Number 4, some women, a woman could be handicapped, and the parent will say, oh, although you are marrying our daughter, we don't want her to be a burden on you. Let her stay with us. And when you need her, come and meet her there. Then there are some men who travel often, and they have a woman at home. They said, what is the difference between having a woman at home that you're not 24/7 with, and the one who is a MISYAR? So many, about 5 or 6 reasons are being given for that. And they are now taking a solace. They are finding an excuse in what happened between our mother Sauda, Aisha, and our Noble Prophet Muhammad, when our mother Sauda decided to forgo her right and allow our mother Aisha to take her turn when it was time for her to sleep in the prophet's room. They are giving a lot of excuses. It may be tenable at their own end. What we are saying is that nobody is saying it's not Islamically valid because of some of the things. Some scholars are saying it's not Islamically valid because of the Makasif. Because Allah will never do something that will harm any of us. La dorara wa la dirara. You can't inflict harm, and you don't allow harm to be inflicted upon you. And the essence of marriage as stipulated in Quran chapter 30 verse 21. Tranquility, Rama, love will be absent this kind of marriage. So the person was asked why are they giving a thought to this kind of thing at all? Those are the reasons that they have given us. More women than men, and women have to get married. High cost of marriage. A woman who is a carer for her parents, a woman who is ill, has terminal illness, and they don't want her to be a burden. A man who travels often. But some scholars are not saying even those like Islamically valid, but it's not socially acceptable. And those who are saying it is Islamically valid, they don't care about whether it's socially acceptable. They give some of them will give a reason. They give an example that if you marry your employer, if you're an employee and you are married your employer, it may be legally permissible, but some people will see that socially not allowed. That is the kind of a line of argument that people come from. We say it's Islamically valid, but it's not socially acceptable. So we say, even if it's not socially acceptable, once it's Islamically valid, you can go ahead with it. How many things do we do that are not socially acceptable, but as Islamically valid, like marry your boss in the office? That socially, people frown upon it. Why are you marrying your boss? But legally, Islamically speaking, there's nothing wrong with it. But what we are saying now is this: are we right for this kind of thing in Nigeria or in some other places where men are running away from responsibilities? Basically, the place only are running away from it. And And because of, remember what Sister Halima said, and I read it in an article. Some ladies are now saying, since it is not binding on the husband to reveal MISYAR marriage to his wife, women are now saying, I can have so many MISYAR husbands. I can't, because it's not binding on me to reveal it to anybody. People can now come up with an argument that everything can be open to abuse, that because people drive recklessly, are you banning driving? When we look at the cost, the price you have to pay if you allow this thing to come to a society like Nigeria and some other places where people don't have deep understanding of Islam. Professor Sulaiman said it, rightly said it, that our religion is so deep, people have silent knowledge of it. Our religion is so deep, people have silent knowledge of it. We have scholars, we have preachers, we have prayer warriors, where everybody is calling himself a scholar. People can be preachers. You can learn how to preach, take care of your parents, take care of your husband, take care of your wife, and look for an ayah of the Quran, look at another to support it. But you don't call yourself a scholar. Why people are doing it are those reasons I've highlighted. And they can go with their reasons. They have right to know that reason, but not every society is right for this kind of marriage.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much, sir. As you can see, limited husbands to marry. And sometimes in the society, we create unnecessary pressure for ourselves. Who invents the rule that, time is going, my dear sister, time is going, you're already over 30. Who creates that rule? You know, why are we putting undue pressure on ourselves? Why can't I be 38 years old and still be married? You know, why do I need to have millions in my account before I get married? Why do I have to book a hall in Banana Island or in Victoria Gardens, Victoria Island before I can get married? Why must I have honeymoon in Paris if I cannot afford it? Why are we having all this undue pressure? Undue pressure will lead to we looking into other ways of gratifying ourselves as well. And I think this has been well captured by our chief missioner. We'll take some comments. Please, our entertained comments, please, can I ask you to restrict your comment to between 1 to 2 minutes? Between 1 to 2 minutes. If you have question or you have comments to add, please raise your hand. We'll listen to you. Please restrict it within 1 to 2 minutes, please. I'll take our brother Nuhu Gata. Please unmute yourself and contribute within 1 to 2 minutes, please. Please unmute yourself. You are muted.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyid al-Mursaleen, wa Fatima Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Na'am, MISYAR marriage is an exceptional rule out of general rule of marriage. For those who that can be credited into a particular circumstances, but at the same time, I want to quote Sheikh Yusuf Kordowi. He said that concerning the MISYAR marriage, there some smell of immorality, some smell of indecency can be perceived in the process of MISYAR marriage. If it's not been processed with taqwa, if it's not been processed with personal decency, so that is why I want to suggest, based on my own personal perception, that people should not be quickly rushed or run into MISYAR marriage, simply because they have been credited with those circumstances that our scholars mentioned. They should find alternate remedy for that. They should not see MISYAR marriage as something they can rush into and quickly process it. Simply because in order to get themselves saved from misuse or abuse of this MISYAR marriage, because in this country, even in the world generally, how many people can practice based on Allah's taqwa, and from there they cannot be committing sin? Suhidina Salat al-Mustaqim. That's my contribution. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. People are looking for loopholes. In a contract, people are looking at the fine print. The fine print, they're looking at it. People are looking for, okay, how can I wriggle out of this commitment without having to be crushed? You know, and if you come up with this idea, it gives people a lot of excuses. Especially men are ready to abuse, to exploit things. Sexual exploitations of our sisters. Oh, you are already 49, you're already 41. You know, maybe we should just have MISYAR. You stay in your father's house. I come and meet you whenever I feel like doing that. So I would pitch my tent with what our brother Nurugata said. We need to be very, very careful before we engage in such. I'll take our Dr. Onibo, please, sir. Few minutes, please.
Hello, thank you, Brother Ibrahim. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I thought it was not going to be my round, and I've sent something on the chat board. But what I've sent quickly is that within the little knowledge of Islam I have, MISYAR marriage has no place. It is I say it's a creation of man out of perceived necessity that we want to solve a problem. And solution to the problem we all look at, for whatever reason, is already there. Let us deepen the issue of polygamy that is allowed for man to solve this problem. Almighty Allah, while prescribing polygamy, would have also known that in the future, such a thing is going to happen. We're going to have so many number of women around us to take care of. Whether a woman has everything in this world to herself, the legality of that marriage also depends on those factors that the Prophet has prescribed and our religion has told us. My dear brother, you have said it all. Why are we putting pressure on ourselves? Why do we need money? Why do we need? Why are we asking the woman is old? Is marriage only meant for bearing children? No, but for you, he said the teskuno ileya. That's what the Quran has said, as my chief missioner has said. So it's for you to have tranquility, to have somebody to relate with, to have somebody to share love with. So why are we going ahead with MISYAR? I know man will create that, and we are creating it. It has been for long anyway in some part of the world. So for me, Islam is for the whole world. Whether a section of the society or in our own climate, are we ready or not ready? It's like classifying Islam to geographical boundary. I see it as an issue of humanity, and I think the solution is there in the name of polygamy. I can say that expressly. Anyway, thank you very much. Allahu Alam. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, sir. I also want to call our attention to the fact that we all know that we were told by our scholars that nikah is you completing half of your deen. We have to be very careful as well. May this union not be the source of wars going into Jahannam. You know, if you don't treat your wife right, you know that you are buying a one-way ticket to Jahannam. If you're in a union and you're not being just, you're not being fair in your union, you are making your case horrible on the day of Qiyamah. So why on earth would we want to now exploit such thing without we having a deep thinking of one day we will be standing in front of Allah and be able to account for I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and I did that as well. Why are we looking into such thing? May Allah ease our task. I will take iPhone 5. Ideally, I would not, but please, it will be good to have your name. iPhone 5, please unmute yourself quickly.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Within a minute, please.
Okay, my name is Ahmed Ali. I'm calling from Germany. So I'm watching this.
From Germany.
Yeah, this program is very interesting. But what I can say about this Ziwaj Mizyar, I think it's not good in our society, because this Ziwaj, it just be like a Ziwaj Mota. That is marriage of enjoyment. And it brings a lot of disadvantage to the human side. First of all, it denied the woman from inheritance, and the children of the woman also inheritance from the husband, as it is a secret marriage, which means the whole family or the member of the family, they don't recognize this woman as a wife, and they will never recognize the children as the children of the father. Secondly, I can still say that this kind of marriage, it spoils men and leads men to become irresponsibility to their women, because the men will remain that, oh, okay, I don't need to spend, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. And they take this opportunity and misuse it, which is haram in Islam. But the reason our scholars said before at the beginning of the program, that maybe the high cost of marriage, it can be the grand reason of this kind of marriage. I don't see any kind of high costs in marriage. Only when if you cut your clothes according to your size, you can still marry. You can still marry in Islam. Also, about the reason, they said that maybe there's a lot of women, they didn't get husband. It's left, this is, we can say Almighty Allah will provide all the women that never get husband, we provide them the right one. And there are some conditions that is in Islam before, like the reason why what our scholar said that maybe the woman is handicapped. It's a condition, but this condition that has been practiced in Islam, we cannot use it as a grand foundation of MISYAR marriage in our society. The condition is there. If we take the condition, let the condition be the condition. We cannot use the condition to become normality and spoil our social moral. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, our brother from Germany. It's good to have you on the call tonight. The last part of your submission, I would paraphrase, which says that exceptions cannot become the rule. You know, the fact that there is exception, we cannot turn exception into rule. And it's something that we have to take a deep look at before we engage on this. It's 6:30. The program is built for 90 minutes. If we are to stay here, we will continue going on and on and on about it. I think we have been opened. We have been introduced to a lot of concepts that we need to look at. My brother from Germany talked about the inheritance aspect, which is quite vital, which is quite important as well. Why would I have kids that I cannot give them some of my belongings, you know? So those are the things that we also have to look at. So it's something that our NASFAT missioner or our NASFAT guiding team will be able to look at this and come up with a stand and say, NASFAT is either for this, or NASFAT is promoting this within the society, or they're not promoting it. It's something that we'll be waiting for our missionary team to let us know what the position is. Without further ado, I would like to bring in the general manager of AVEC to give us a brief remark on this program before we call it a day. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I want to thank the missionary team, the mission board, more importantly, our chief missioner and his team of executives for this wonderful event. It's quite an eye-opening section for us. And we hope that in future, we continue to have very important discourse like this on topical issues in Islam, to widen our horizon and knowledge base. And in collaboration with AVEC, that is the training institute for NASFAT, hope all of us, and we want to thank us for our time and for our contribution and comment, that we continue to join any invitation like this. At times it will be free, at times you may have to register for it. What is most important is that we need to be more committed to knowledge, and that's the only way we can survive. Once again, I want to thank the Mission Board and the team, and also Brakeji and all our invited guests, speakers, and panelists, as well as our audience, wonderful audience that have attended and contributed to this great discourse. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We want to thank all our facilitators today, starting from Dr. Sulaiman Yusuf. We thank you for your time, sir. We know out of your busy schedule, you gave us time. We also want to thank our Dr. Isiaq Lawal. We thank you, our dear missioner from Oshogbo branch. Thank you, sir. We're looking forward to see you for the NASGA Games of Youth Wing. Inshallah, I hope you will be with us in person on the day. That's coming up shortly, inshallah. And also want to thank our sister Alima Ahmed. Wow, I really learned quite a lot from you, sister. It's good to have such a eloquent and well-researched fact that you gave us today as well.
Sister Alima joined us from the US. Sister Alima joined us from the US.
Mashallah, Sister Alima. This is really good. I thank you for your time and for also being able to capture us. As our missioner has said, this is an international event. I am presenting right here from my study in the UK, and we have brother from Germany contributing. We have quite a lot of our members from the UK that are joining. A lot of members from US, like Sister Alima as well as joining. We thank you for this. CM sir, do you want to have a closing part before we wrap up, sir?
Alhamdulillah, 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 Rabbil Alamin. We thank Allah for giving us the opportunity of having this lecture. This is one of the things that Natural Ali Party is doing, and will continue to do. And we look at issues and we handle it intellectually by bringing scholars to come and discuss it. Very soon, inshallah, is a call on people again to come and listen to another topic, another interesting topic. Some of the concepts that are strange, that are alien to our vocabulary, but they are existing in the Islamic world. That's what Natural Ali Party want to be doing. We want to widen the horizon of people, want to enlighten people, want to educate people, because our religion, our society is knowledge-based. Inshallah, this is one of the things we shall be doing to ensure that Natural Ali Party realizes mission and vision, inshallah. And what the mission? To develop an enlightened Muslim society, nurtured by the true understanding of Islam for the development and welfare of mankind. I want to, at this juncture, I want to appreciate all our guest speakers. Professor Suleiman, may Allah continue to honor you. You have become one of our resource persons. Inshallah, will be coming up to you whenever we have issues like this to discuss. Our brother, Dr. Lawal, our insider, a lecturer from inside, our internal lecturer, a very great scholar in his own right. We thank you for shedding light on this widely abused and misunderstood concept. Our sister Alima, for somebody to be a researcher with Dean, the One Institute of Nigeria, Islamic Education Trust, you cannot expect anything less from what Sister Alima has done today. She has given us first-hand experience of the concept of Nikah MISYAR. May Allah reward all of you abundantly. All the team of Sharia Advisory Council of Natural Ali Party, we have a Sharia Advisory Council headed by Dr. Danladi. Dr. Danladi is a national missioner and is a lecturer at the Master of Iloni. They put up this program. They gave us the topic. Collectively, we search for lecture. That's the leadership, the training arm of Natural Ali Party. It's not yet after to be doing. in collaboration with the Mission Board of Nasrullah Al-Fati. Inshallah, very soon, we will roll out some other programs. I say Jazakumullah Khaira to Brother Keji and to all those who have made a success out of this program. May Allah reward all of you. May Allah continue to strengthen our society. May Allah continue to strengthen all the undertakings of Nasrullah Al-Fati, the Fountain University, National Zakat and Sadaqah Agency, Tafsan Investment, Saftan Trust and Travels. Inshallah, we shall be coming up to you again with another interesting and informative topic. أنا ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. Can I call on our father, Sir Danladi Shitu, to give us closing dua, please, while we call it a day until we meet at the next event, inshallah. Our father, do I have Danladi Shitu? Please, closing dua, please, sir.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir. We can hear you. You are muted now, sir. You are muted.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can, sir. We can. Go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity he has given us to deliberate on an issue that is very, very sensitive. And to my own observation, I believe this is just the beginning of the journey regarding our submission on this topic. And as you have rightly said, that the mission board, especially the Sharia Advisory Committee of NASFAT worldwide, will still have a deliberation on it to look at it from all angles. We thank all those that contributed. We beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his infinite mercy to accept this, our discussion, as an act of ibadah, and let it be in our mizanul khairat. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. From us, we say salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, everyone. You have a wonderful night rest. Until we meet again, my name is Abdurrahim KG. Salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.